Carl Edwards is joining Prime's NASCAR coverage, Ty Gibbs making his 410 sprint car debut, and Danica Patrick is unfortunately back on Sky Sports' F1 coverage. Welcome back to Break Hard. I'm Matt. Denny Hamlin Joe Gibbs Racing announced on Wednesday that they picked up a two-race sponsor for Denny for the 2025 season, that being the AM/PM line of gas station convenience stores. It'll be on the car two times, Sonoma as well as the Fall Las Vegas race, and it means that Denny Hamlin is back in a purple car because he was in a near violation of the NASCAR bylaws, which require Denny Hamlin to be in a purple car. Thankfully, he's going to be back in one this season after spending the last 19 years in a purple car, at least in majority of the races. So he'll be back in a car. It is interesting because Riley Herbst drives for him in the Cup Series over at 2311 Racing. His family owns a line of gas station convenience stores out west called Terribles, and he's got AM/PM, a clear competitor to them on the car. But hey, that's why these two teams are separate at this point. I believe Ty Gibbs will have them on the car one race as well. A couple of other things to talk about real quick. Daniel Suarez put out a vlog. If you don't follow him on YouTube, there's some good behind the scenes stuff there. In the vlog, he says he doesn't blame he doesn't blame Catherine Legg for the crash that happened on Sunday. Instead, he blames NASCAR for approving Catherine Legg. And I think he makes some valid points in there. So definitely go watch his vlog there as well, or my TikTok about it, which will be posted on Wednesday night. Now, let's get into some of the things we want to talk about, starting off with Carl Edwards, who will be joining Prime's NASCAR coverage in 2025. And turns out all it took to get him, to take a job in NASCAR again, fly to Missouri, do jiu-jitsu with him, and have lunch with he and his wife, because that's what two Prime executives did. And Carl's like, these are my people, and went ahead and signed with them to do pre- and post-race coverage as a driver analyst for Prime. And hey, guess what? The pre and post race shows are going to be at the track alongside Daniel Trotta and Corey LaJoie. And I think that's awesome that these shows are going to be at the track and not in some studio a couple hundred miles away with a green screen background that just continually has looked terrible. So that's not a shot at anybody in particular. I'm not taking shots here. I'm just saying I like the fact that it's going to be at the racetrack here. I'm actually really excited for the TNT Prime portion of the schedule. I hope that their production value really turns it around and rivals what we've seen on the CW side of things with NASCAR Productions doing all of the work over there, because I think that the CW this year has been absolutely incredible with their coverage. I know some people don't like the ticker at the bottom. I actually do really enjoy that. I like their booth lineup as well, and I like the other stuff they're doing. And it's a clear contrast with what Fox is doing as well. So yeah, I'm excited to see what they bring to the sport. Obviously, it's great having two new partners in it as well. And having Carl back is great because obviously he knows a lot about racing, right? 28-time NASCAR Cup Series winner, runner-up in the points twice, including a tiebreaker in 2011, which went to Tony Stewart. He's won 38 NASCAR Xfinity Series races, including the 2007 Busch Series Championship. The guy knows wheel, right? At the end of the day, he understands racing really, really well. And when he did his shock retirement at the end of the 2016 season, technically in 2017 when he did retire, it surprised everybody, right? And he kind of became a recluse. And then over the last couple of years, he started to come out and come back to the racetrack. Saw him at the racetrack more in 2024 than we have any time prior to, his post-retirement era. NASCAR Hall of Fame. Also was now on NASCAR's 75 greatest drivers list as well. So yeah, it's cool to see him reemerge and now be a part of the sport again. Said he reached out to Dale Jr. He'll also be on the Dale Jr. download as well this week. Really interested to see what he has to say on there. But having Carl back is really, really cool. Are we going to see a backflip again? No. Are we going to see him go all, aggro on Matt Kenseth? Also, probably no, because he's a father and not that Carl Edwards anymore with the Metal Militia shirt or hat on, whichever one he had at that point. So yeah, I'm happy Carl's back in the sport. He will not be driving Kyle Larson's number 5 car at the All-Star race for the practice session, at least in qualifying for the All-Star race at North Wilkesboro. He said that he has declined that invitation that Kyle had, offered him, which I'm kind of bummed about. I would like to have seen him get back into a race car, but ultimately I think for Carl, it's smart to say, yeah, I'm going to turn that down, because then if he gets back into the race car, he's just going to be hit with 100 questions from fans and media members alike. Hey, does this mean you're going to get back into a race car? Does this make you want to get back into a race car? How did it feel to be back into a race car? And honestly, I think he's just done with the driving portion of his career, which is totally fine. I think we should all respect that at this point. It's been nearly a decade since he's last raced in a car. And yeah, having him back in the booth though, or having him in the booth rather, I think is a good thing going forward. The other day in a video I said it's probably time for Ty Gibbs to hit the panic button on his 2025 NASCAR Cup Series season, and he's responded to that by going 410 sprint car racing with the High Limit Series on Thursday night at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway dirt track. It'll be his first race in a 410 sprint car. He has tested one recently back on the East Coast, and it is also the High Limit season opener as well. He'll be alongside other NASCAR Cup Series regulars like Kyle Larson and Christopher Bell, who I think we all expect to contend for the win. For Ty, making it to the feature would be a huge accomplishment in its own right. Currently, I believe they have 30 cars on the entry list for Las Vegas, which isn't a surprise. People are going to be like, oh, that's kind of a low car count. Yeah, it's a West Coast race when they get back towards the Midwest, so I think you're going to see those car counts go up a little bit more. For Ty, though, 410 sprint cars are no joke. They are absolute beast of machinery, and for him to strap into one, hey, hats off to him. Obviously, there's been a big change in the thinking over at Joe Gibbs Racing. Joe Gibbs had instituted a ban on all dirt racing for the last nearly 3 years at this point, before lifting it at the end of last year. We've seen Ty do a few things. He ran a couple dirt outlaw stuff at Millbridge and back in North Carolina. We saw him run a USAC midget at the Turkey Night Grand Prix in Ventura. And then we also saw him race at Chili Bowl as well. And hey, everybody talks about him being a Silver Spoon kid. That Silver Spoon's getting dirty. And I'm happy to see him branch out and try a couple of different things, including dirt racing, because ultimately, I think getting more reps in a race car, as Kyle Larson has said, as Chris Rebella said, keeps you sharp. And driving different things makes you a better all-around driver. And for Ty Gibbs, all he's ever really raced in recent years has just been Xfinity and Cup. And did some, obviously, his ARCA stuff before. But the last couple of years, it's just been a lot of Cup racing. And I think you need to get outside of that comfort zone a little bit and try some different things and hone your skills. And hopefully this is something that helps turn him around, because guess what? The two best drivers right now in the Cup Series are guys that are also racing on dirt as much as they can. That being Christopher Bell now, as well as Kyle Larson. So all I'm saying is Joe Gibbs let Christopher Bell get back into a dirt car, and guess what? Dude's won 3 of the first 4 races. Probably has a really good shot of winning this weekend as well in Las Vegas. Fun fact about Las Vegas, who has the best average finish in the Gen 7 era at Las Vegas? Not Christopher Bell. Ross Chastain. Who knew? No wins though. So if you're going to, place some odds, Ross Chastain might be a good guy to focus on for a top 10. And then you have Kyle Larson and William Byron underneath him there, both winners in the Gen 7 era at Las Vegas as well. I believe Christopher Bell is like 8th or 9th in best average finish there in the Gen 7 era. So just giving you some fun facts here. Ty Gibbs, though, I'm excited to see what he can do. And he's going to be doing more high limit races throughout the year as well. They haven't named what his schedule yet, or said what his schedule is yet going to be, but they did say that he'll be running select other high limit races on top of that. So I think it's a good thing. He'll be driving the number 84 Monster Energy car for CV Industries, that being Chad Boat Industries, and having Monster be into sprint car racing again is good. That's a new sponsor that's coming in as well. Obviously, it's a Ty Gibbs sponsor, but hey, it's always cool to see new brands, new things coming in to this as well. So we'll see how he does on Thursday night. Like I said, making the feature would be a win in my book for him. We'll see what kind of speed he has when he gets out on track. And then last but not least, Danica Patrick will be returning to Sky Sports' F1 coverage in 2025 because Sky really listened to what the fans wanted, or they just really want to torture Jensen Button. The good thing for us is we'll get to see Jensen's very annoyed faces every single time Danica's delivering her expert analysis, which include things like, wow, these cars are really fast. Max Verstappen's a great race car driver, and these cars have 4 wheels on them. Just riveting stuff coming out of the one-time IndyCar winner's mouth. And honestly, we don't need Danica Patrick. Danica Patrick was brought in by Sky Sports to appeal to the American audience, which has every American fan sitting around like John Travolta in Pulp Fiction going, us? You brought her in? We don't want her. We don't want her at all. If it was up to us, we'd send her to Canada. Sorry, Canada. I know you're getting the short end of the stick on a lot of things right now, just getting shafted, but we don't want her. You guys go ahead and take her. She's out in Arizona now. Arizona's got her at this point. We don't need Danica Patrick on the broadcast. And setting her politics aside, because we don't talk politics here, she just doesn't know wheel at this point. She doesn't know Formula One. She doesn't know NASCAR, and she hardly knows IndyCar at this point. But she's a recognizable name that was the biggest name in racing for, 4 or 5 years there. And she used to be really good with sponsors. And at this point, I think we're all just over her. I'd rather her just go back to Arizona, not be a part of any of the coverage at this point, buy some more crystals, and just live out life doing whatever it is that she does at this point. I think she hosts a podcast, maybe does some workout stuff. Yeah, okay, just go do that, because at this point, her coverage of Sky, her Formula One coverage on Sky, is just not very good. Good news is, if you have F1 TV, James Hinchcliffe is back, and that guy actually does know wheel, and he does know Formula One, and he does know what's going on. And I'm happy that he's getting, the opportunity to continue on. Sky Sports is basically returning everybody that you've seen in the past. They've added Jamie Chadwick in as well, fresh off of her Indy Lights season last year and not doing anything this year outside of, I think, European Le Mans Series. We'll see what her schedule becomes as well. Jacques Villeneuve, though, back on Sky on top of that. And hey, if you want some hot takes, that guy's going to give you hot takes, whether you like it or not, whether you want to hear it or not. He's got it, and he's going to give it to you. Nico Rosberg back as well, and then your just normal cast of characters. Crofty's back, Brundle's back, as well as Ted Kravitz. Naomi's back, and everybody else. So I'm happy that they returned a lot of people. I'm not happy that Danica's back, because she just doesn't provide anything of value to the broadcast. And if you want to appeal to the American audience, there are other people out there that you absolutely could have gotten to show up and talk into a microphone that would be better than Danica. And I'm just tired of seeing all of the backlash and discourse on social about it and how everybody doesn't like her. And it's just exhausting at this point. Her and Aaron Rodgers really were made for each other, though. They absolutely were. And maybe there is no such thing as true love. If those two can't figure it out, then I don't know if the rest of us can. But hey, they'll always have those 2 years or whatever of romance that they had. I don't know where this is going. Like and subscribe to the channel. Let me know in the comments, though, first, before you go and do that, what you thought about Carl Edwards coming back, Ty Gibbs running a 410 sprint car, Danica coming back to Sky Sports. Like and subscribe to the channel. Follow me on TikTok at BreakHard, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at BreakHardBlog.